Big 12 today, Sirius XM, Channel 375. I'm Ari Temkin, along with Dave Archer, the former Iowa State Cyclones and Atlanta Falcons quarterback. And we have now RJ Young, the RJ Young Show on the Tulsa Sports Animal, as well as on YouTube. What's up, RJ? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, brother. I'm happy to talk with you guys.
So we've spent a decent amount of time talking about Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley, obviously, as we are wont to do in this network, but more so about the timeline. And Lincoln, you know, he kind of has been out in front of this the entire time, talking about June 1st being, you know, egregiously quickly to come back. And, you know, and so when announcements were made that teams are going to start coming back in the Big 12 by mid-June, and Lincoln still said July 1st, you know, it was admirable. But do you think Lincoln is concerned about that date, given that they're going to have to start football activities less than 2 weeks after that on June 13th?
I think he's concerned in as much as LSU is concerned, Texas is concerned, Kansas State is concerned, with the number of kids that are testing positive for this virus, and then how these schools are choosing to react by shutting down these involuntary workouts in many cases. I think more than anything else, you got to feel good about not just him as an Oklahoma fan, but he as a coach, one saying, hey, 8 hours, 2 weeks, are we really going to, we're going to get up in arms about that? And now with the, not panic, but just, I think everybody was a little off guard about how many of these kids were going to test positive for this thing, and then how we were going to react to it, because, I mean, between now and 2 weeks ago, we felt totally different, right?
Yeah. RJ, I've been following you very closely on Twitter, my man, and you've been doing an amazing job at trying to educate those that are ignorant and maybe just dispelling those that are, I guess, don't know what they're talking about. But you've done a hell of a job with that on your Twitter account. I appreciate that. Talk to me about what it's been like for you. You're a guy that has a platform, a guy that has some really important stuff to say. Tell me about what it's been like for you navigating through this last 3 weeks.
Like I've been preparing my whole life for it, if nothing else. I mean, this is all stuff that I know. This is all stuff that I was raised to know. This is all part of not just who I am, but part of the legacy that I have. And when it comes to football and those things, it's always interesting because that's where all of this stuff intersects and overlaps in meaningful ways, and in ways in which people just can't escape, because we all love sports so doggone much. And at times it makes it really difficult to have conversations about football, which is, I mean, I started talking about this stuff into a microphone because I love it and because it makes me feel good. And like many other people, yeah, it's something I use to try to get to know other folks. But now we're in the middle of this moment, and I decided there were things to say. And after not having had much to say about it, I mean, the last 3 years, just I'm done with it. And I'm also getting a little, I'm a little hopeful because people are listening in a way that they haven't in the past. And we're learning things about each other that make us uncomfortable, but also force us to continue to talk because of this environment we're already in. There's no place to go, Dave, as you very well know.
RJ, yeah, and of course, to give some more context, we're talking about Oklahoma State, and you are, maybe people know, you cover Oklahoma, do a fantastic job on OU, but you also, you went to graduate school? You got a graduate degree from Oklahoma State?
I am in the middle of a PhD program at Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm.
Middle of a PhD program at Oklahoma State. So you have this sort of dual citizenship to a degree. So just tell us about your feelings and perspective on Mike Gundy's, the shirt and what else it was about, in your opinion.
At most, it's moronic. Like that, like when we're talking about the least harmful part of that, it's moronic. The most harmful part of that is he's lying to us. And that's what I really am taking issue with over all of this, which is to say the man purported that network as to be something like the Associated Press of his own volition. Okay? And then he came back and said, hey, I didn't know. And then I did a little research and he called himself a dumbass. So you tell me, like, do you want that guy to be the second highest paid state employee in Oklahoma? Do you want him making $5.25 million to go 15-11 the last 2 years? or to continue to say and do things that, like I said, at best are stupid and at worst are absolutely positively harmful and lying to us about it. I don't think that it's a problem with what he has to say because, yes, you get to say that, but there are consequences for the things that you say. And I've got past Mike Gundy and gone straight to Oklahoma State and gone, yo, Burns, you're at the controls. Holder, you're at the controls. Tell us what you're going to do because you've issued 3 statements in 2 months on this guy. So you tell us. I mean, and now with, we had the president here in Tulsa and we had the chief White House correspondent for OAN wearing an Oklahoma State shirt to his rally. I think that tells you how they feel about it, which is, by the way, an absolutely outstanding troll. But I think it's bigger than that, especially when you take into account 56% of his kids are black. That's in a state where 8% of the state is black, and it's lower than that in Stillwater. I think he needs to have something to say, and he hasn't. And they need to have something to say, and they haven't since this whole debacle with Alfred Williams. So it continues to get worse as they continue to remain silent. And then we heard about these changes that are supposed to take place, and I've been going, what changes? What are you doing? Show us. To which they're going, hey, I want to hear from the other side, what they want to change. I'm going, no, just let me hear Coach Holder and Mike Gundy talk about what Black Lives Matter is to them. Then let me hear what kind of conversations they're having inside the athletic department. Because me telling you stories is only me telling you stories. Like I always am thankful for guys like Ryan who reach out, Ari who's like, yo, we got to talk to RJ, Dave who's like, hey, I'd like to talk to RJ, because there aren't that many RJs. There aren't. And it matters, right? It matters that I get to talk with you guys about this stuff. It matters that you talk with each other about this stuff even more. And I haven't seen Mike Gundy or Coach Holder, athletic director at Oklahoma State, Mike Holder, have anything to say to each other about all of this except we denounce it. Okay, cool. Now what? And that's where I'm at. Now what?
So RJ, let's take it a step further now and look at the least important part of this equation that's going on is actually playing football, okay, and actually going out and playing ball, because there's far more important things going on right now than playing the game. I think anybody in their right mind should understand that and realize that and know that we got to keep moving forward with this. So let's just put the football in a little capsule now. What do you expect from the kids? It's going to be very hard. Having been a player myself, I would find it very hard to respect the guy in charge, like you're talking about, if there isn't any plan or there's nothing been put forward, nobody's saying the things that give me or instill, maybe try to reinstill some confidence in these people. And we hear all the time that things like this galvanize a team. It's an injury. This is a different animal completely. This is not an injury. This is not somebody that played badly a week before and has to come back and brings the team. This is a completely different deal. What do you expect from the Oklahoma State community from a player standpoint and how they might play this year should they get on the field and play?
They're going to follow the lead of Chuba Hubbard, Amin Angbaniga, and Landon Wolf. They're going to follow Tylan Wallace. They're going to follow the senior leaders on that team and the playmakers on that team. And if they decide that they just want to go play ball, if they decide that they want to do, as they say, they're talking on the field, which I'm sure would make everybody happy, then it's going to be okay. But what I have really just gleaned from this moment is 2 things. 1, kids want to play. 2, kids are tired of playing with their coaches on these issues that matter to them, right? So if it means that you're actually having a player-led football season, that's probably good because they're the guys playing. As an example, Connor Halliday tells a story about Mike Leach when he was at Washington State, to which he got sent in a formation. That was it. Mike sent him a formation. He said, kept running his fingers going, give me the play, give me the play, give me the play, calls timeout, and Mike's livid. And he says, what are you doing? He said, you didn't give me the play. I gave you the formation. You're the quarterback. You see it. Go call it. And I think that's where the kids are, right? They got a formation now. They see the play. They're going to go call it. And if they want to go play, and they do, then it's going to be okay. And I think as they continue to talk about these things and rush for 2,000 yards and get 119 tackles and make the Biletnikoff Award finalist list, people are still going to listen to what they have to say because they want to be invested in what those kids are doing on a football field.
from a on-the-field football perspective, RJ, your optimism that Oklahoma is going to win another Big 12 championship. Let's just assume everything's fine and dandy, and we play 12 football games and on and on and on. Likelihood that Oklahoma is winning another Big 12 championship here?
I'm going to put it at 5-6 or 6-5, 6-5, because I need Texas to actually make their two coordinators work, because they're the most talented team in the conference. I mean, even more talented than Oklahoma. I think Iowa State has an opportunity there, but if they can't get it done in Ames against Oklahoma, that's a big deal. And outside of that, I mean, I thought Oklahoma State, and then we had this, right? So
Right.
I think all things being equal, the only thing that changes for Oklahoma is who's taking snaps at quarterback, and everybody's already betting the farm on Spencer Rattler, who hasn't started a game at Oklahoma. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the strength of this conference. So if Texas can step up with the coordinators and the change of scheme on both sides, they're going to be real tough. But outside of that, yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma.
RJ, when you, hey, by the way, I don't remember a coach ever sending me just a formation, and I would have loved to have had that. Just send me the formation, man. I could have operated there. You're asking me to take care of things. Hey, give us a name. Remind us now as we get into the midsummer. We're kind of in the dog days of kind of waiting for this thing to, hopefully this virus to blow over or get out of here, or at least mitigate to a certain extent so we can play. And as we start to gain momentum, remind us of a couple of guys in your mind that are a little bit maybe off the radar here for Oklahoma that are going to need to step up. We know Trey Sermon's gone. Obviously, Jalen Hurts gone. You mentioned Spencer Rattler. Charleston Rambo has got to be a guy that steps up and takes his game to another level, a CD Lamb type level. Give us a couple of guys on either side of the ball you think are going to be very important for Oklahoma to be that team that wins another title.
So defensively, there are three that I'm really going to keep my eye on. One is Justin Broyles, who got drugged and burnt to a crisp in the Peach Bowl with Justin Jefferson doing most of the damage, right? Playing at safety. This was a top 60 prospect in 2017, and the guy who was ranked 61st is A.J. Terrell, who went to your Atlanta Falcons there, Dave, in the first round, right? So he's got the talent. He's been playing out of position because he was a corner coming out of high school, but he's got the talent. Robert Barnes is another. He was ranked number 27 in that same class. That puts him ahead of guys like Devontae Smith, Dylan Moses, T. Higgins, and we haven't seen him since Josh Jacobs ran over him and buried him in the Orange Bowl a couple of years ago. They're moving him to linebacker away from his safety role, but that's going to put him up against Caleb Kelly, who's another five-star guy that we've been waiting for quite literally 5 years to blossom into the kind of guy that we expect him to be. Both he and Barnes are going to be battling for that will spot next to Deshaun White, who I expect to be as good or better than Kenneth Murray Jr. from a technical standpoint, because he's just that instinctual. Remember, Brian Odom, linebackers coach, called him the most instinctual linebacker he's ever seen. So it could be 1 year as a starter and gone if he has the kind of season that I think he could. On the other side of the ball, I am really interested to see what goes on at that wide tight end position, because you got Austin Stogner, who's highly heralded coming in, but behind him, you don't see a whole lot of depth. You might need to move Braden Willis back over there from fullback. You might also need to lean on a true freshman in Jalen Conyers, 6'4", 225. This is a kid that could throw for 300 and catch 200 and did it in high school. Though that's one position that I'm really going to be focused on. And then obviously running back, who behind Kennedy Brooks is going to step up and take it, because Ramondre Stevenson, we think, is going to miss 5 games. That means that you're looking at Seth McGowan as a true freshman, or TJ Pledger, who is an All-American coming out of high school, to try to step up and fill that void. So I don't really worry that much about the offense as much as I do the defense, but if they can get the guys that they got, right, the depth that they have to play at the level that they were recruited at, it should be easy, but it never is, and you guys know that.
RJ Young Show, Tulsa Sports Animal, and of course, OU 24/7. Appreciate your time, RJ. Be well, man.
All right, Dave. I appreciate you guys.